All right, gang, welcome back. We're talking about how to have your best year ever. And this is the second part of the series. So last time what we did is we took a look at where you're at over the last 12 months, where your business is at now, kind of like the vitals for your private practice. And what we're going to do in this episode is take a look forward where you want to be in 12 months. And we're going to start with something called the Dan Sullivan Question. And it's straight out of a book called the Dan Sullivan Question. So really quick, who's Dan Sullivan? Almost every business entrepreneur guru that's out there right now that is writing books on the New York Times bestseller list, most of them themselves have coaches. And the one that I hear most commonly cited is Dan Sullivan. So Dan wrote this short little book. By the way, you can pick this up on Amazon. I'll link it in the show notes. This is literally like a 30-minute read. Really, really powerful stuff. But I want to read you the question right from the man himself. And it's this. So if we were having this discussion 3 years from today, so we're talking about your best year ever, so I'm going to modify it here. If we were having this discussion 12 months from now, and you were looking back over those 12 months, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? Specifically, what dangers do you have now that need to be eliminated? What opportunities need to be captured? And what strengths need to be maximized? So again, you can pick up a copy of the book. I'll link it in the show notes. But that's the Dan Sullivan Question. And what I do in Killer Marketing Secrets, when I wrote this, is in chapter 2, there's something called Picture Your Perfect Practice, is the title. And there's about 80 questions in this chapter that you can go through and think about where you want to be. And here's the big secret. If you're willing to write down where you want to be 12 months from now, you're way ahead of the rest of the pack. And there's a much better chance that you actually achieve it once you write it down. That's one of the big secrets that I've realized over and over again. And I'm going to give you an example. My wife and I had a dream from the time that we got married that we always wanted to have a farm, and we wanted to raise our family on a farm. Well, so when we first got married, we lived in a condo, and we had our oldest son there, and that's where I was living when we opened my private practice years ago. And then as our family expanded, we bought a single family home, and we went from 1 child there up to 4 boys, where we had 4 children. And so it was a 4-bedroom house. We were there, and I think we were there 8.5 years. And we had looked at, hundreds of other homes and just couldn't find what we were looking for. And I said, hey, like, there's this little exercise that I use in business all the time. Why don't you and I go through this together, and we'll do the same thing here. So she said, okay, what's the exercise? And I remember I had an iPad at the time. I don't use an iPad anymore, but had an iPad at the time. And we laid out, I think it was 73, a checklist of 73 different things that we were looking for in our dream house. And it was things like a paddock so we could have horses, which in the meantime right now is mini donkeys, which you might know. We wanted to have a body of water. We wanted it to be conveniently located to the business and also our families. There were things that we were looking for that were really basic. We wanted it to be 4 or 5 bedrooms. We wanted an 1800s farmhouse. We wanted a barn. We wanted an area for gardening, like a south-facing hill. And anyhow, we went out, and once we wrote that down, it was less than a month later, we got a call from a friend. Actually, it was a therapist who was working here, who's now retired, but she said, hey, my friend's selling her farm. Do you want to take a look at it? And so with our list of like 73 things that Steph and I went through describing exactly what we were looking for, like this met, I think it was like 68 of the 73. So it was really, really cool. We ended up buying that property, and we've done a lot of upgrades in that house, but we were able to realize our dream house once we got it in writing. And after years of struggling to find it, and we were actively looking for about 6.5 of the 8.5 years that we were in the previous home, like we knew this is what we were looking for, we just couldn't find it. Once we put it down and we wrote it down on paper, or in this case on the iPad, then it came to life, it came to fruition. And it's the same thing here. So this is how I walk you through in chapter 2, but the first thing that you want to think about is you. Like ideally 12 months from now, for you to say that for you to feel happy with the progress that you've made over the last 12 months, if we were having this conversation a year from now, what is your stress level like? How many hours a week are you treating? In the clinic, how many hours a week are you working? Are you taking work home with you, or are you happy? Or do you feel less stressed than you feel today? Do you have a good relationship? And like, I think a lot of the family stuff is important. Like, are there experiences that you want to have with your family over the next 12 months, or your spouse? Like, think about that as well, for you to feel like you're making progress towards success. What does your team look like? So do you have staff that are bringing solutions to you, or do you have staff that are bringing problems to you? Do you have more therapists 12 months from now than you do today? Or, you know, maybe you're just a one-person PT shop. You know, do you have a receptionist coming in to help you out, or a billing person, or something like that? What does that look like? And by the way, there's no right or wrong answer. You get to define exactly what it is that is real to you. You know, huge growth and 50% or 20% year-over-year growth, or whatever the goal might be, isn't for everybody, but you get to define what that is in your life. You know, money, financially, you get to define what that is. How much money do you want to make? That is possible with where you're at now. And by the way, most of us tend to limit what our cap is. So what does that look like? What does it look like for you financially? Number one goal my wife and I have every year financially is that we're able to pay for our children's future college education. So, you know, we go into the 529 plan, fund that as much as we can, and we'd like to contribute as much as we can to realize all the tax, what am I looking to say there? We want to maximize our non-taxable contributions to what we can for, like 401k, simple IRA, stuff like that. I'm not using the exact right language, but you get what I'm talking about. So you want to think about where you're at financially. You know, are you struggling payday to payday, or month to month, to make bills meet and feeling the stress of payroll, or do you have abundant reserve money, you're more profitable than you've ever been before, and you feel really comfortable and happy going to work? Like, you get to define exactly what that looks like. And the other thing, at least for me, private practice has always been about figuring out marketing. So I'll give you an example of a goal we had over the last 12 months. What we've noticed in our area is we have to become less and less reliant on physician referrals. So back in 2007 or 2008, we hit a highest ever, which was 154 physician referrals in 1 month, and that's for one office, by the way. Well, over the course of the last 7 or 8 years, we've actually dwindled down because of hospitals employing more than 80% of the physicians in my immediate area, because of doctors retiring and not being independent anymore, because of POPs practices, etc. We're actually down to averaging about 15 referrals a month from physicians. So we've had to replace that. By the way, we're bigger, better, and more profitable than ever before. And with losing all of those physician referrals, what did we replace them with? Well, we had a conscious effort over the last 12 months to replace it with patients returning for additional care, and we're crushing it there, and that's really cool, and our group's doing a great job with internal marketing, and also referrals from our past patient base. And then also we wanted to expand what we're doing in the general public and attracting direct access patients. So we set goals specific for that, and then we went out and achieved them and we were able to set the actions in place, which we're going to talk about in the next 2 episodes, what we wanted to do to accomplish our goals. So some things to think about there. You're going to want to pick up a copy of Killer Marketing Secrets if you don't have it already. Go through chapter 2. Basically, take the time, take an hour, take 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, with the key people in your organization. And I'd recommend doing it with probably your spouse or significant other, and saying, what does the next 12 months look like? Where are we going? What does this look like? What's our dream farmhouse look like, or dream house look like, dream practice look like, so that when we achieve it, we can say, hey, this is we have defined where we want it to go, and we're there. So really cool exercise. Make sure you get that done. And in the next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a system where you can find people who are already where you want to be. So you can go learn what they're doing, copy what they're doing, you and I are private practice owners, so we want to look for private practice owners that are where we want to be based on this exercise, and then learn what they did to get there so we can go out and take a huge shortcut. So I'll see you in the next episode.